start recording now, so I will edit this and add the first presentation into the front. Okay, so and username? What's your username?
Username on Discord?
Oh, for the course / on Discord. Both.
WWilhelmsen.
Right. Cool. Okay, so video golf for nerds. Give us your pitch.
Yes. I think golf video games have a lot of potential, but a lot of that potential goes lost once you hit the ball. There's a lot of downtime in between your small points of making an effect in the game, and it is my opinion that the more like choices you make and everything is the fun parts of a game. So to give the player more agency in the game of golf, I'd like to make a game that offers them a firearm where they're able to affect the trajectory of a ball while it's in flight. This will be a sort of physics-based puzzle or similar type game where we have a lot of design space to make interesting gameplay elements for the game. And
so you're thinking sort of mini golf, or you're thinking full golf style?
That all depends on the type of maps we'll create, but anything that'll be able to make interesting gameplay situations if yeah.
So game engine,
So,
Godot or Unreal or something else?
that's right. I think that for a game like this, a 3D engine, 3D capable engine such as Godot or Unity would be good choices. But I think I would be amenable to anything if significant amount of group members have experiences or preferences for anything. And I think that to be able to make a game such as this, the development team needs to be able to design a bunch of design different maps which can explore the possible challenges and fun gimmicks which involve in playing golf with a gun, and to be able to design different limitations into the game affecting how the for example, how the player will be able to move around, how they'll be able to use their weapon and ammunition, how much, different gameplay styles or different weapons which will be able to be collected or acquired over the stage of the game, the different weapon types and everything, and explore time for extraneous gimmicks such as being able to stop, slow down, go back in time, involve more balls into the game of golf, using more holes or a variable scoring system. And yeah.
Do you have an art style?
Anything should be possible. I'm imagining something like Mario, Super Mario Brothers, which is irreverent and fantastical while still having, a semblance of reality in it. So if there's someone like me out here who enjoys video first-person shooters as a way to interface with a game and believes that physics-based puzzles are fun and have a lot of potential, please contact me.
Yep.
I think this has a lot of potential for developers to explore a lot of different game design elements.
Excellent. That's
Thank you
really
very
good.
much.
I will add video game for golfs to as video golf for nerds to the as the second item in the selecting list. So people get the form with all of these and their own usernames so that we can select those. Right. Okay. So next on the list, according to the room statements, are Edam. So I have Edam here, and this is looking pretty. So if I pause that and pop that out to YouTube and take that to the beginning and make it big. And
remember to share your screen too.
right, yes, of course. Thank you. Excellent call, Aaron. I'll just go in here and go back to share screen and grab entire screen. Okay. So we'll just check that that's.
My game pitch is for Sigils and Sorcery, a story-focused puzzle game where you make your own spells.
You can hear that?
Cover the character's story while fighting alone. The core concept is that you learn and make magic, explore and complete quests for the game's character, and gain information about the characters and how to make spells. You make your own spells and solve puzzles your own way, where each puzzle can be solved in different ways with different outcomes. Figure out the secrets of the game's characters and the overarching plot. It is similar to Spiritfarer and Potioncraft in different ways, as well as taking some inspiration from Witcher Atelier. It is also vaguely based on the Wands and Wizards D&D setting. Target audience is mainly casual players and people that like story-driven games where you have a little bit of player agency and can interact with the story. And also people that like magic and fantasy in general. It's a game where you decide the pace and you can play it how fast you want and for how long you want. The look and feel is more I'm thinking a 2D cartoon style, again Potion Craft and Spiritfarer, and will be relaxing with a hint of mystery from the lore of the game. In Spiritfarer, it is similar in the sense that it is story focused and has a roster of characters with their individual stories and individual quests, as well as the map system where you have a bigger map where you can move around to different places that have exploration and story beats in each one. And here's some concept art for some of the characters that might be in the roster. It's similar to Potioncraft in the sense that you make and perfect your own spells and save them in your spell book. And there might be a reputation system where, depending on how you solve things, you gain different types of information between other people that you can interact with. Here's some concepts to how you make spells. I'm thinking like ink, paper, and time might be factors to determine how good a spell is. And the magic system itself is loosely based on the Witcher Atelier's ink and paper system, where you have runes and keystones that decide how the magic spell works. Why should you join this game? Well, if you like telling stories and RPGs, consider joining and let's tell some fun stories together. Help build a unique magic system that interacts with the world around it. Mostly going to need artists and coders, but if anything here tickled your creative bone, by all means join me in the brainstorming for how to make the characters and story come to life. And puzzles and all that. Thank you so much.
That's fabulous, Marie, and some really beautiful artwork in there. That's really impressive. And I just show that. So sigils
My
and
game pitch
sorcery.
is for
Oh,
sigils and sorcery.
okay. So I've now sorted the volume out as well. So sigils and sorcery. Okay, sigils and sorcery. So I think sigils and sorcery. Now I wasn't watching. So did you select Godot or Unity? I can rewatch and get all of that. I'm sure.
Godot, because I'm thinking 2D in a similar fashion like Spirit Fair.
Yeah, and Spirit Fair is very pretty. So yeah.
It is.
So,
But if that's like too much work for the time frame, pixel art could also work. Like, that
Right,
isn't set in stone.
And it depends on the team you get and the skills in the group. So so art and coding is probably what you need, and so that looks like a lot of fun. So I think that would be a lot of fun to make and to play. Right. Okay. Now I suppose we have also a potential for we can probably do some questions in the Discord if we break these into rooms and people can go and ask questions about particular games, or we can have a joint question session depending on what people are wanting. So we can start initially with this, and when we have the break we can also have some questions. But I'll just quickly ask, are there any questions for the first 3 presentations before we move to the next one? So separate names, yep, that'd be great. So I'll make separate rooms for discussions, but let's see, and that's Eirik next with operational command.
Before that, I have a question. If
Yep.
some people couldn't hear due to low audio, should we post
I'm
the
Eirik.
GIF somewhere so everyone can like see them, or do you think that's a bad idea?
Oh, if you're happy to share, then you can put the links in in the chat, so other people can go and watch it again from your presentation. Because yes, if you're happy for them to be shared, I will share these links as well as the recording. But just within the class. So if you're happy for them to be shared, we can put all those links in the Discord chat so people can go and have a look at them.
Oh.
Okay, great, thank you, Maria. Oh, Maria. Which one are you?
Yes.
You're a Marie or a Maria?
It's Marie. It's pronounced
Marie.
Maria in Norwegian.
Okay, Maria. So yeah, okay. It was either way. Right, fabulous. Okay, let's go on to the next. So so there will be a chance to ask Maria some questions as well. But if we go on to the next one, Operation Command, and I've sorted all the audio stuff now, so we hopefully are all good to go. And the recording seems to be getting the audio. So let's go with Operational Command.
This is Operational Command. Imagine the Cold War turning hot in the 1980s. And you're not just watching from above. You're a NATO officer in the field HQ. This isn't about clicking fast. It's about running a real command post. Here's the core loop. You start with a mission briefing. Then, you organize your units, equipment, and supply, choosing to bring what is required of the mission, and replacing combat inefficient units damaged in previous missions. Then, you study your map and intel, place unit markers, and plan maneuvers in real time. Orders aren't given with a mouse click. You issue them by radio, speaking like a real commander. And as reports come back from the battlefield, you adapt and refine your plan to achieve your mission-specific objectives. Every decision matters. Your units, equipment, and supplies persist across missions, so mistakes carry long-term consequences. The radio command system makes you feel like a real commander instead of a micromanager. It's like Wargame, but instead of clicking units, you actually run the HQ. And we're building it in Godot 4.4. Operational Command is for strategy fans who love realism and historical detail. It's for players who enjoy thinking and planning, not frantic clicking. And it's for anyone fascinated by Cold War alternate history. This isn't aimed at casual mobile gamers. It's for people who thrive on depth, tension, and immersion. The experience is grounded and atmospheric. You'll interact with diegetic tools on your command desk, rulers, protractors, radios, and real maps. The soundscape completes the immersion. The hiss of radio static, distant artillery, the low hum of an HQ under pressure. The overall mood is tense, immersive, authentic, and atmospheric. So why join the Operational Command team? First, this project is different from a typical RTS. It's about simulating a Cold War command post with radios, maps, and persistent units, which makes it both a unique challenge and a chance to learn something new. Second, it's a great opportunity to experiment with interesting systems, speech recognition, dynamic campaign logic, and tactical AI, the kind of things that really push your programming and design skills. Third, because we're a small student team, everyone's input will matter. You won't just be coding or making assets for someone else's idea. You'll be shaping how the game feels and plays. And finally, this project is best for people who are passionate about strategy games, Cold War history, or immersive game systems. If that excites you, you'll probably enjoy working with us. To make this project happen, we'll need help across several areas of development. We need programmers with GD script experience for core gameplay systems, and since we'll be integrating offline speech recognition with Vosk, we'll also need someone interested in working with C++ and GD extension to build a custom voice recognition interface for Godot. We need writers who can help shape the campaign and create mission scenarios. Having an interest in military or general history would be helpful, but it's definitely not required. Just creativity and enthusiasm. We need people with skills in 2D and 3D art to design the tactical map symbols, HQ environment, and interactive tools like radios and documents. And finally, we need someone who can help with sound design and audio, creating an immersive soundscape, and ideally even voice acting unit radio replies to really sell the atmosphere. If you love deep strategy, Cold War history, or immersive simulation, join us in making Operational Command. Let's build the ultimate alternate history command experience together.
Excellent. So one of the interesting things is, of course, we have. So I used to work in Rena by Venelia, the military camp, and so we've had and we have various contacts with the military camp. So if you're particularly interested in making some of the connections, it might also be possible for us to look at reaching out to the military camp and seeing if some of their people are interested in this sort of thing as well, because some of them are quite interested in games and game development and being involved. So military games have a certain very, very long tradition in game development, so there's some really interesting stuff there, and that angle on interacting with voice is an interesting. So there are a couple of tools that make that easier now than it used to be even a year ago. So I think that's now actually possible. I would have probably advised against it last year, but I think this year you've got the possibility. Okay, and that is Eirik. So thank you, Eirik. That looks exciting. And looks like it's going to be fun. And let's see who's next on the list. So we have. Do we have any questions for Eirik while I get the next one lined up?
Are you planning on just using AI, or are there ideas for like multiplayer later? Because I can see myself and my friends playing this the same way we played like Red Alert in the past, fighting against each other.
Yeah, like there's definitely the possibility of both co-op and adversarial play. So it really just depends on the amount of time we have. But the option is there.
I one of the interesting things with America's Army, which was set up as a training for America's Army, when they went multiplayer, because you couldn't fight other Americans, right? Because they didn't want Americans killing Americans, and they didn't want anybody to be able to role play being terrorists, and the enemies were terrorists, were Muslim extremists. So what they did is everybody got to play as the Americans, and you would see the opposition as the Taliban, and they would see you as the Taliban. So you had different visuals. So everybody felt that they were the Americans because everybody was the good guys. And that's a really kind of interesting moral take on the, like, not knowing that the other side think of themselves as being the good guys. Which of course everybody does think of themselves as the good guys. It's just, luckily not everybody thinks the Americans are the good guys all the time. Okay, so any other questions? Otherwise, we will move to the next game, and this is from Golden Snow. So let's just jump back in, and yep, I'm sharing that screen, and we can go play. that's a long disclaimer. So we might have to pause on that and see what the disclaimer is. I'm sure we can have that in.
Oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that.
Don't read the fine print.
Please don't.
Well, if you're gonna have IP agreements, then people will have to be involved. Okay, so let's see. We've got okay. So those films talked. We have missed first half. Great. Right. Okay. So so those are the currently 5 games that we've had pitched. Now, oh, excellent, Master Jeb. You can do a real quick pitch now. This will be great. Okay, do you have something to share, or do you want to just do audio?
I have a paint document I made real quick, if I could share that.
Yep. Okay, I will stop sharing, and you should be able to share screen.
All right.
And we can watch the stream.
Can you see it?
I can, and I believe we can hear you.
Good.
Oh,
So this
just
is
a sec.
basically a rock, paper, scissors deck building. Or are you starting the recording?
Yeah, the recording is. I've just moved you over to the screen so people can see the recording. Yep.
Oh yeah. So this is a rock, paper, like inspired throw. So the idea is that you have a deck of maybe 5 hands, so you can fight an opponent in a best of 5 game of rock, paper, scissors. And of course, as you see here, in the beginning you might start with only rock, papers, and scissors, but then as the game progresses, you will unlock maybe Lizard, maybe Spock, and maybe even more. And so in between matches, you might have consumables or upgrades. Here we see I've made a few just to see where the possibilities are. It's really just the imagination that limits this. 2 hands, maybe a pistol to instantly win. You can thin out your deck, maybe choose a random one, or have double damage for a turn. And just to prove that this really can go on to be complicated and big, I found this that shows that rock, paper, scissors can really have a bunch of different hand size. And I also saw a website that had, I believe, 15,000 different hand signs in rock, paper, scissors. So might not be that hard to implement because everything can beat a set of numbers and lose to a set of, but for the player, it can really be complex eventually. And also I want some way of leveling up hands. Don't have a specific idea how that's gonna work, but it could be really fun to implement. Maybe some sort of poke opponent. Thinking the first time you're fighting them, you have no idea. It might just be random. But then the second time meeting them, you can have a better strategy for how you're fighting them because you know which hands they're most likely to use. And you can also add a bunch of here. As you see, I made an A3 paper sheet that's immune to scissors. And yeah, make it not completely random. I suspect you can see the next few opponents so that you can make your deck accordingly, and yeah, just make sure that everything is not random, but there has to be some strategic element to it as well. Yes, that's the end of my paint document.
Excellent. I actually have a whole section on rock, paper, scissors, seeing I use it as part of my balance lecture. So if I go to slides, I actually run I do a rock, paper, scissors tournament where you gain skills every time you level up. So so what you can do is you actually create asymmetry by earning more points by what you win, right? But by what skill you win with. I've often run this, and I have things like a an Excel spreadsheet which talks about the different amount of points you get for each of the skills. So when you start out with them being each worth 1, you get this a symmetric, and if we have the AI adapting at 10%, you get the symmetric rock paper scissors that everything stays at a third. Whereas if I make this person get 2 points for rock and this person get 2 points for paper, you can see that it changes the strategy, and we have different ratios of rock and paper, and who's leading changes as people's strategies change.
Your screen is not shared.
Oh, my screen is not shared. Okay. Oh, that's right. Yes. So I should see my screen. So I do. Let's see. So if I jump, thank you for jumping in and telling me that, because I got it on the Discord, but not on. If I close that stream and I share screen. And go that one. And I whip you guys off. So you can now see this is my spreadsheet here, where you can see these. These are the in the top corner here. If I zoom in to that, these are the amount of points you get for rock, paper, and scissors, and these are the AI adaptation rates. And I also have slides where we talk about how breaking the asymmetry, so that you have like rock scoring 2 and this person with paper scoring 2. If I have rock scoring like 6 and 3 and 3, I can then see what happens in the competition over time as the AIs adapt to the rate at which the other person is throwing things and what they're playing at. So you can try and create interesting balances as the balance of what gets thrown moves around as the AIs adapt. And if you make one of them more adaptive than the other, so they do a 20% change, you can see that the more adaptive one wins because it can adapt faster. Which is kind of an interesting sort of AI discussion around rock, paper, scissors. So I'm quite happy to support the rock, paper, scissors game, with also a whole bunch of experience in creating rock, paper, scissors tournaments, and there's a world championship of rock, paper, scissors. So there's a whole bunch of things going on there that is much more complex than you might think. Also for the rock, paper, scissors game, that would be a multiplayer game. So that would be using so this is rock, paper, scissors. So we'd be looking at doing full multiplayer with server. I feel Godot is probably the best option for that, because it 2D would work really reasonably well, and so it's, the core is combat, and the look we can work that out as group, and the joining. So yes, we can do. I can go Simon supported for some of the rock, paper, scissors content. Because I have, and I think that card-based approach is a really interesting way of managing some of that. Okay, so that's Jeb, and we'll sort out. Okay, so it's 9 o'clock. Do we have anyone else? Otherwise, you guys can go have a break, and we'll make some rooms. Now, actually, just before we go, I might have to pitch my other games. Are there anyone else wants to pitch before we have the break and I set up the rooms to discuss? I mean, there's some cool games there already. And some of them look like they've got much more. Oh, excellent. Boss the Modern. What's your actual username?
My username is pretty much just that. You just put that under that username. I'm fine with that.
Right. Well, see, I'm going to have to find you in the actual course so I can kind of and other people can find you. So we will need your actual username, so people can add you. But okay, so you have a pitch. Do you have a screen to share?
Yeah, I'll just set up a
Excellent.
presentation real quick. It's gonna be a
Fabulous.
quick PowerPoint presentation.
Yep. So I'll stop sharing, and if you share it, then I'll whack you over there.
Sure thing.
The
Alright.
recording will be working. These are some interesting games.
Just sit back and relax for this one. There you go.
Watch stream.
It's called Crossy Roast the Mad Chicken.
Mad chicken. Excellent.
Yeah, there is a little bit of lore and idea into this pitch right here. Yeah.
Yep. Go for
Yeah,
it.
we starting?
Yep.
Sure thing. So yeah, this is essentially Crossy Roads the Mad Chicken, potential extension of the original game Crossy Roads. If some of you guys are familiar with Crossy Roads, you might be familiar. But for those who aren't familiar, it's essentially a game where you try to get a high score by just crossing the roads and not get hit by cars, and also falling out onto lakes and other danger.
I think we're not updating. Oh, it seems to be flickering your screen update.
Oh, really?
Yes. So sometimes it's the thing. Sometimes it's not. It must be struggling with streaming. But I can see Crossy Roads now. Yep.
Okay.
Maybe just leave it and try presenting again, and we'll see if it takes full screen.
Maybe just.
Oh, it flicks back and forth between display and full screen. So just stick it.
Oh, that's weird.
Stop the display and just move through the editor windows.
Let me just change the. Let me try to change the display method then, in case that helps. There you go.
Okay.
Let's see if that helps with anything.
Can you bring it up?
Does it look better?
Yep. Where we can see is the Discord screen.
Oh, hold on. That was the wrong. That was the wrong window. Hold on. Okay, let's see. Wait, so this is flickering? Huh. Weird. How about now?
That looks like it's okay.
Okay. No more flickering.
Yep.
Alright, sounds good. Anyways, core premise of Crossy Roads, like I said, you essentially just navigate just an endless kind of piece of land without having cars run over you, and you're this little chicken that just want to stroll about, collecting points, and also try to get a high score. Now, with this one, the Mad Chicken, you're basically tired. You're jaded chicken. You're so angry of these roads that you just want to blow the cars up. Just have them out of the way. You're sick and tired of the cars. So with this one, not only are you just navigating the place right here, you're also collecting guns and shooting cars. And you'll have various kinds of weapons to deal with the cars in the most fun fashion. You can pop tires with just a regular gun, or you can go all the way to RPG. Now, these are some baseline guns that we can start off with. We can also have other kinds of guns as we go. And also, well, even though you're gonna shoot cars, if you do so, you're gonna have some police after you. Police chickens will be coming after you to chase you down. Oh yes, this ain't gonna be peaceful. You're literally at a war against the police. And your goal, though, is to just start here at home. We call this home. And as you progress, you'll move towards cities and unlock new, more advanced weapons. And also overthrow the guy who was responsible for making such a loud noise in the traffic. That's the whole premise of the game. there will also be endless mode and also the story mode for this. That's the whole baseline of this pitch right here. So the target audience will be who wants some people who want to casual fun, just want to maybe want to play something fun and chaotic, or if you really want to just get a high score, you can also become the one with the biggest high score in this game using the endless mode. And yeah, pretty much that. And also, people just want a twist on the original game concept of Crossy Rose with now the magic. And so mainly, we'll be using Unity. Could use Godot if that helps too. Depends on the team, but yeah. Why this game? If you want to make something fun and chaotic, and also with a little bit of depth, you're welcome to hop on, send me a message, and we can just pitch a group. And yeah, also, if you want to combine well-known genres, like just getting chased by police, shooting things, while also crossing with the roads. And I will need help with pretty much art and coding, mainly just art and coding. And that's just that. That's pretty much it.
Excellent. Nope, that sounds pretty good. That's yep. And so the art style is that you're still looking at doing that 3D blocky style.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yep.
3D blocky, like you see here.
Yep. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Fabulous. So, do we have, before we go to break in, well, before I pitch a couple of the, I haven't got decks, I was just going to talk through some of the game. Well, I kind of have some slides I can show. But do we have any other games from students? So currently we're on 7. And that's fine. Put that over here. Close stream. Show my screen this time. Okay, so if we go share screen and entire screen. Okay. So, a couple of games that I have. So, one of my interests is in traction trebuchets, and this is if we have a look at traction trebuchets and we go to images, you can see this one, and all of these are the ones that I've made, and this one is, if we visit the site here, most of you might have seen trebuchets in various games. So this was an article, and you can see that it's me in there, in the right in the middle there, carrying the trebuchet we've just built with ropes, and we have some of the other images of trebuchet. Now these are hand pulled trebuchets, so you have men who, or women, who stand here, and they did use women, particularly in the defense of Paris, for example, who pull on the ropes. The arm swings round, and you can see here is an example of these guys are pulling on here, and this girl are all pulling on here, and this bends the arm, and the stone that's been released here swings through and releases at the top as a trebuchet. So I am interested in having a trebuchet castle medieval combat game, using the Cinti stores, because we have already got this down, and we've got a Trebuchet model made from a previous student, but I'd like to get the full game, and so I think I had mentioned, so Cinti Store, these assets are assets that we can use just for game during the course, but if we find we have the medieval kit, medieval, so we have this one, so this provides us with a village, which is so the Fantasy Kingdom has this style of village environment, and you can see there are it already has some trebuchet like a weight-based trebuchet, which isn't quite designed properly, and so you actually need to add slings and stuff. But the idea is to have a medieval combat game using these assets, and again, basically you're besieging a town, and you look at how you build and construct a trebuchet, and how you fire them accurately, and how you kind of throw them over the walls, and as you can see, it has a group of siege weapons that would be possible to use. So if you're interested in trebuchets and medieval siege, then I would like to suggest making a siege game. Now, initially we were looking at this in Unreal Engine, and Cinti Studios have these in for both Unreal and Godot, but as you can Unreal and Unity, as you can see, lots of potential assets there for a game environment. So that's about times 6, so about 3,500 krona worth, and we have those assets for you to use, and as you can see where it puts the logo, it has the Unity and the Unreal logo, so these are already packaged for use as U assets in Unreal, so that they can be used for that purpose. This is so as a game, it is a relatively familiar medieval siege game with a good medieval town environment, and then it's about building the game so that you, and my original plan is to have that where you potentially go and collect some of the pieces and you have to build your trebuchet, but I'd be happy for people to riff on the idea, and some way of controlling manpower, or triggering when people throw, or a timing based, everybody has to pull at the same time, kind of timing based game could be quite fun. So there's quite a few puzzle elements that could be done in there, and it's so we already have some of those assets and some of the plan there, so if you're wanting to extend that, there's already a start. Okay, so low poly, and it's everything is needed. I won't be doing the coding, it will be you, but that's another game that I'd pitch. I would also like to suggest an AI simulation game, simulated town. Now this is built on top of Microsoft did an AI village. So they did and I'll just find the actual paper. So this research was on a So this was Microsoft research, and this is TechCrunch. They built a little top-down 2D game where they let AIs play each other, or they let AIs wander around and be the villagers. And so I think there's an interesting game in here where you have an actual Wii AI town that has different setups, and the idea is that the player is trying to achieve goals by interacting with the AIs, and so you have to talk to them and convince them of things. I had a student last year who worked on a multi-layered AR role-playing game, where which was for Dungeons and Dragons. So he was using Virtual Tabletop Foundry, Virtual Tabletop, and he created the NPCs, and the NPCs would try and hide information about themselves and would talk to the player. It could be fun to build some of that as a game where the AIs are, to some extent, not as compliant as you get with some of the AIs, and to experiment with some of the other AI character types, right? Because I think there's an interesting conversational AI that is trying to interact with the village, and maybe the village falls apart if you don't interact with it enough, or various things happen in the village that you do this combination of AI and scripting. And we use some of the open source models, and we run those locally on local hardware, so it's not going to cost per play, because, well, apart from running on some hardware. So that's an interesting AI simulation and gameplay where you're playing with those AI characters. So that's, again, pixel art. Okay. And the last one, so what I'll also do is add some generic genres. So I think there are a lot of interesting puzzle games that can be made. So there is there's platformer games that can be made. So what we'll do is we'll get people to rank all of these existing game ideas, and then with the voting on either the game, or I'll put in generic genres, people can vote on those generic genres, and then we'll put people together based on their interest in these games. Now what we can do is in the break, and we're already well past when we should have had a break, but what we'll do is I'll go and set up those rooms for each of those games, so people can go and ask additional questions to people, and we can do that after we've had the short break. And there are some of you who might, now just correct me if I'm wrong, but some of you are potentially trying out the optional courses, and this is just one of the optional courses you're trying out. So we might have more people here than will end up being in the course. But if we are around that 50 number, then that suggests that we, as I said, should have about 10 groups. We currently have 9 game ideas. So we're going to have to put together groups who are potentially doing generic genre-based things rather than following one of these games. Unless someone emails me with a very late, can I please pitch this game? And tries to get in on that. Okay, so we'll have a quick break because you guys have been here for an hour and a bit, and then we'll come back and I'll start a talk about how I'm going to put together the teams, particularly around my 6 animal model for group communication, which is going to be part of the group forming. So we'll come back and we'll talk about group communication and how you form groups and how you get working quickly, and a little bit about Godot. A little bit about sort of some of the get stuff that we could do. Okay. When and how will the voting be done? Okay. What I'll show you is that I use so this, I think I'm still sharing my screen. Yes, I'm still streaming. So this is a Google form. Not a Google form, a Microsoft form, because NTN use a Microsoft shop, so we're supposed to use Microsoft, so I'm using Microsoft. So the Microsoft form, you will get the preview is, I'll be adding all your usernames here, but you will select your username because it's easier to do it that way. And oh, what's it doing? So then you do engine ranking, you give the your current programming ability, design ability, get and source control competence with the number of thumbs up. So 5 thumbs up is very strong. And project management skill. These skills allow me to look at the groups that I'm making and do a wee bit of balancing of skills, but also if I can't balance skills because it's a group that wants to work together or people have picked the same game, it tells me what additional help that I need to give you, because we can't, like, you know, if I look at a team and go, ooh, they're really not got anyone who's competent, who's feeling secure using get and source control, I'll need to give them some additional support, right? So this is a little bit of balancing and a little bit of support indication to me. These were the 2 AI simulation and Trebuchet game. Also there's a renewable energy game that I could pitch, which I've pitched previously and thought it was interesting, which is basically you are in one of those environment jars. You know how you can put like a terrarium but with a completely enclosed environment, and so it's fully cyclic in a relatively small environment. So the idea was a renewable energy game inside one of those where you're on an island, but you have a dome that is your full environment, and you have to manage resources and look at renewable energies, and you've got some you can do some mining because there's some resources in the island, but you'll burn through them. So it's that kind of planning city style game. If any of you, well, you won't have seen, but if I go to just grabbing just grab the Eco City. What is it? So yeah, so an Eco City style game, but actually it's not Eco City, it's Electro City was the one that was the one that we had, which is just grabbing that. So it was this style game where working on a wee tile-based game where you were building, you had different resources, so like a SimCity game, but resource constrained, and looking at what electrical sources can be used, and understanding renewable energies and those kind of things, right? So that was the Global Island renewable energy game, tile based 2D. I'll add it to the spreadsheet, and then so I'll add all the games there. I'll talk after the break about what I mean by these role animals, because this talks about what role you're going to play in the communication in your group. It's just an additional role that we'll talk about. And then we go through first, second, and third choice of who you want to work with, ranking whether you care about the engine, the people, the genre, or the role most importantly. Because if you care about the people more than anything else, then you rank people at the top. So that I know that when I look and I see, this person wants to work with these people, they don't care about the engine or the game they're going to play with, they're going to make, then I'll focus on building a team with the player, and then anything else you want me to take into consideration. Okay, so what I do is I'm going to fill out all of the games in here, give you a link, fill in the usernames so that people can say who they want to work with their first choice, second choice, and third choice. I also traditionally use a veto, so because I have found that sometimes there are people in a course who may have reasons why they do not want to be put in a group together, even if they have similar interests. And so over the years, I have had people who were in a relationship and then had a breakup, but were still completing the degree. And so it was kind of don't really want to put them in the same group. So they needed a veto. So I've added a veto feature so people don't end up with someone that they really can't work with. Does that make sense? Aiden? Adam? Yeah, so that will be a form. I'll send that out once I've added all the roles and the groups. And I'll add some generic games into these ideas. Okay, so go and have a break while I set this up. Well, if we had a 15-minute break, I suppose we're supposed to end at 10. Oh, yes, 12 your time. So we still have half an hour left and at least a 15-minute break. We'll have a break and then we'll come back. So I'll set up the rooms. Yep. Okay. So take a 10-minute break. Maybe 5-minute break. I'll be back at 9:40 my time, which is 11:40 your time. For the last 20 minutes, we will go over that, and I'll just set up those rooms. Okay, so let's set up those rooms and get you guys underway. And I'll go stop sharing. Right, I'm back. Okay, so it's 22. I have 20 minutes of your time. And I shall start screen sharing. But you won't be able to see me, which is entirely sad. But not really, because, you know, I'm not visibly terribly exciting. Well, the people in... yeah, so I'm in the recording. I can be seen. So you know, when you come back and watch the recording, I'm on the OBS in the recording. And I'll just turn off the desktop audio, and I'll start streaming. Okay, so welcome back. Oh, oof. Oh, oof. Oh, yep. Okay. So I have problems with my headset. The noise cancelling has started to. Okay. I'll take that off. I'll just talk from here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to talk about some of the group formation stuff a bit more for 20 minutes, and then I'll let you guys hang out, if you can, into those audio channels. I've just created audio channels down under the voice channels at the bottom there, so you should be able to see those. And after I finish talking, people can jump in there, and I'll jump in and have a chat about my games with anybody who wants to ask me questions. Okay, so I've currently screen sharing, and I'm talking to the recording. Hopefully, and I've also turned on Twitch if you want to see the hand wavy version of Simon. Okay, so we're doing group development, and we're going to be making these games in groups. Okay, so there has been lots of layers of group work, from extreme programming, where you have two people and one keyboard and one screen. Basically, it is two humans, one as a co-pilot and one as the actual programmer. And how this works is you sit there watching the other person, all the way through many layers to working in different time zones. I'm here in New Zealand. This tends to be one of the worst time zones for working with Norway, because we're a full 12, well, we're 10 hours apart at the moment, but we'll be 12 hours apart. It is actually quite tricky, because your mornings are my late evenings. Can be good for some handover stuff, but minimizes our synchronous work, and that is hard. So we have to find interesting ways to work, and that's why we have Nipuna as our tutor. So you have a human being actually on Thursday, I think the 28th is the first session with Nipuna. So you'll see him in person. So yes, if so, Nipuna will be there to be a person in the room with you to help steer some of those conversations and give you feedback on some of these game ideas and on the group formation stuff. So game development is a team sport. This is not done as an individual. There are many implementation decisions that affect a game. So we think of game design as often separate from sort of the game programming, but actually, realistically, the programming itself has a significant impact on the game design, because all of those decisions that you make as a programmer can affect the player experience. So it is a unified thing. So you have to be able to work well in a team. That's why we've started this course by getting you to pitch games. We're going to get you into teams so we can start you working. Now, there's various different ways of doing teams. There's homogeneous teams and heterogeneous teams. So homogeneous is where everybody's doing the same thing. Heterogeneous is where everybody's doing different jobs. And one of the risks you have is that you have the in-groups and out-groups if you set up your collaboration in a way where you have some people in an inner core and everybody else is just implementing. And so when we're working with small numbers of students, that's why I try and create groups which have a mix of skills, and we distribute the leadership across the groups. So, I didn't mean to actually click that. That was an accidental click. So if we look at games and remote work, game development companies have been running remote teams for decades. Many of the major studios are actually distributed studios where they have multiple people in multiple places around the world. So this idea of having a combination of working in person and working online is not at all uncommon. And we have lots of tools that help us do remote work. So Discord, for example, which we're using now, is a tool that you can use to do remote work, because what we do is we all jump into a room, you share all your screens, and then everybody can see what everyone else is doing. This is a fabulous way of doing online remote work and collaboration, where your good game development machine is not located next to everyone else's good development machine, right? So we need to find ways to work both synchronously, in person, and asynchronously. And so if you're working together, that's great. Satellites, not so great, because you have this idea of the in-group are the people who are in the office, and then you have a couple of remote workers, and that actually doesn't work really well. Hubs tend to be better, where you have groups of people who are meeting and working together, because then they can form groups and they have inter-hub communication, and everybody working from home is actually slightly better than the satellites, because it prevents the in-group and out-group, and there's not privileged communication. One of the challenges is when you allow people to if you have some of your group sitting in person in a lab somewhere and a couple who have to work remote, then not all the communication goes through the digital channels, and so you don't get the same experience when you're online as when you're in person, and so it creates an us versus them. So actually it is better to potentially all work separately than have some of you working together and some of you having to be online, right? So if you've got some online members, try, if you can, to have everybody come together, do a group activity together, and then try and work mostly through the digital tools and communicate through the digital tools. So there's been a lot of ways of doing outsourcing. So traditionally we've had some of the tasks being outsourced, design consultancies, testing in a separate company or even a separate country, localization teams. They suggest that actually for things like Saudi Arabia and for Asia, if you are planning to have to distribute into those markets, it is best to have someone from that culture to be part of a localization team, and don't just try and do it from afar and guess. So there are ways that we try and create these very wide distributed online collaborating teams. Some tips for working: create some ground rules, right? Set deadlines. Now, in this course, we have a portfolio due on the 15th of December. That's a very long time away, right? What you need to do is once you're in your groups, to set milestones, because those milestones are where I give you feedback about how your games are going, right? Because this course is about you making amazing things and being able to have them for your portfolios and learning, right? I want to support that learning, and as part of that supporting that learning, we've got to have deadlines. But I'm not going to set those deadlines, because each of you are making different games with different objectives and are different, have a different level of progress. And so the deadlines we make together are ones that you commit to and I commit to giving you feedback on, right? So setting deadlines become an important early task for you to set up, so that you know what your goals are, and you can start doing a fortnightly cycle of, you do some work and then you reassess your goals. But you can't reassess your goals unless you have goals. So you have to set goals. So we have ways to allocate and issue tasks. It is usually best not to allocate a task to someone in the group. You don't say, oh, Simon, you're doing that. What you do is in your issue tracking in GitLab, everybody accepts the issues that they're going to do, right? So I, as a group member, take the action of assigning the task to myself. Now, part of the reason we do that is because psychologically you have more ownership over things you have chosen to do than things you have been told to do. Okay, so, and it seems like a tiny wee thing because, oh, Simon said he'll do this, so I'll just allocate all the things Simon said he'd do, I'll allocate to Simon. And it's kind of I wasn't involved in that, suddenly I've got a list of things to do and I can't remember agreeing to that, and it's kind of gets confusing. So if I'm the one who is allocated to me, then I've at least done the effort of saying, yep, okay, I understand I need to do this thing. Okay, so there's some little wee things which seem really minor, but actually matter for group communication. Try to find ways to socialize online in your groups a little bit, so you have a relationship that isn't just about, do this now, do this now, do this now. It's also you're eliciting ideas and you're trying to remain playful and you're trying to help socialize and engage and make sure that there are ideas that are coming through. So a bunch of collaboration tips, and I'll move through these quickly so that I can get to the 6 animal model. I want you to measure productivity, not the number of hours you work. And this is why we use story points and weights in the issues in GitLab, because for some of you, you are more experienced programmers and are better at programming. And so it's not the number of hours that you spend doing something that is as interesting as the amount of complexity you're adding to the project and what you're learning by doing that. Right? This is a university. We aren't paying you for the product. You are the product, right? You are the ones who need to develop what's happening in your head. So understanding what works for you and being productive in a group and how you can contribute to your group. If you given that you're going to be working in groups, if your group does well, but you try and coattail and you do no work, I will still fail you. Okay, I will fail you, even if your group gets an A because they make an amazing game, and you have done nothing. This is not group marking. I'm not going to give you all the same grade. This is not like your bachelor cover. I am grading you on your contribution to your group. Now, that may be that you had to learn a huge amount, and so most of your contribution was your own personal learning, and you talk about your learning journey, and so you don't have very much code at the end that is in the final project, but you learnt a lot. I'm happy with that because your contribution was about you learning. But if all you did was go, well, the team have got it, the game's being made, I don't need to do anything, it's a no, that means you fail, right? Because you need to be contributing. The challenge with generative AI now is that anything you don't want to learn, you can get AI to do, right? So if you don't want to learn something, you can just use AI and it'll do it. But that means you haven't learned anything, right? And you are the C student who does nothing and lets the A student, the AI, get everything done, right? So we are going to have to make sure that you are buying into learning, right? And being part of the group and knowing how you're contributing to that group. You can even consider AI another group member because it's able to do stuff and contribute code and assets to the group, right? But you treat it like a group member, which means you still have to talk about what you contributed, and you have to understand what was contributed by your other group members. Okay, so we're going to be talking about this through the course, and looking at ways that work for you to be a good group member. Communicate often, use the Discord channel, use your channels for communication. Sometimes I suggest making coffee rooms that are breakout rooms so that not all your conversation is necessarily entirely work focused. Time boxing is really important, so allocate specific times for specific tasks and get together, show your screens, hold each other accountable for doing work on the project together, right? So that's where you jump into Discord. You say, right, between 9 and 10 on a Wednesday morning, we're all going to be in and we're all going to be updating what we're doing. And everybody will share their screens so that if you wanted to wander around and see what other people were up to in the game making process, that's fine within your group. And then, you know, you can get a sense of how things are moving forward. Okay? Be kind to each other. Be honest with each other. You need to be honest with me. I cannot help you if you lie to me about how much progress you're making and about how your game is going. Right? My job is to help you learn as much as possible and to help you understand how to use AI effectively and understand how to use the engine effectively and understand how to talk to other people effectively and how to reach out to licensing people and how to get funding and, you know, all of those other aspects of game development. I'm here to help you with those. If you lie to me, say, no, we've got this, I completely understand everything, right? It's kind of, well, okay, I can't help you. And then at the end, where you go, oh, we couldn't do this because we didn't know how to do it. And he said, well, you told me you were fine. You told me everything was great. So don't lie. Let me help you. Okay. There are lots of tools. The collaborative tools are out there all over the place. I use Discord and GitLab as collaboration tools, but you know, Google Docs, all that sort of stuff. All of these tools are now becoming more and more connected and able to sort of do live collaboration. So Visual Studio 22 has live share, as does Visual Studio Code. Unity so Unreal have a multi-user editing system. And so with Godot, if you're doing Godot in Visual Studio Code, so if you use Visual Studio Code as your editor, you can do the live sharing of code and collaboratively edit code, a bit like Google Docs for code. And in Unreal 5, you set up a server and then other people join your server and you can all be simultaneously editing the Godot game, right? So there's various ways you can set up interesting real-time collaboration. And this is an example of you can see there's another hidden screen in this scene here where that is, and it's actually Simon McCallum, it's me, so I logged into myself, and this is using the multi-user environment in Godot, so in Unreal, so you can see two people editing simultaneously. It's just another way of saying, okay, like watching someone else and seeing what they're up to and then going off and doing your own thing and then going back and checking it. And it means that the code is constantly synchronized. So we can set up all of those with VPNs. We can go through that process if some of you are wanting to have a look at how you set up the multi-user editing system. It's still in beta, but you know, it's an interesting, I think it's version 3 now. There's even a fun VR mode that we can try. I have my MetaQuest 3 here. I can jump into Unreal in VR, and you guys can be on PC or in VR, and we can do multi-user editing in VR and have other people in the same space editing the same game. It's a really kind of interesting and weird way of doing collaboration, but it's worth a play if someone's interested, and we can video it and show it. There are ways you can integrate design. Most of these are there. We don't have specific design teams in this course, so we'll just skip through some of this. We can skip through. I have more tips. You can read about those tips. I'll leave them in the slides. But what I'll get to is a couple of things. One is the kinds of documents you produce. So there are design documents, technical documents, management documents, and public documents. So the pictures you made are the start of game design documents. If you're going to work in a group, it is useful to have a design document so you can share the ideas, right? So in the GitLab, there is an example of a design document. In the 2025 IMT 3603, there is an example of a game design template that you could start filling in for the game once you've got your group sorted, and you can look at what the design is. There are technical components to that. The management are all of the planning and milestones, the issues, and then potentially for some of you, you might want to start looking at what your public documentation looks like. The last thing, and it's now 10 o'clock and I know I need to stop, understanding other people is really important. And so I use an agency competence and relationship model called self-determination theory, where we look at both for games what is motivating and for what is motivating in a group. And so when I look at self-determination theory, we see it as a reservoir model. So you have agency, competence, relatedness, and coercion drops out agency. Imposter syndrome leaks out competence, and othering leaks out relatedness. And so you tend to think of the choices, having lots of choices fill up your bucket of agency, but then if someone forces you to make particular choices, that's about misspelled, it drops out the bottom. Competence, the imposter syndrome, is that sense that you're not good enough for this, and so even when people reward you for doing something difficult, you don't really believe them. And then we have relatedness and curiosity. I've baked these three, which are the normal ones, and curiosity and creativity are additional to self-determination theory. These are specifically related to games. And what I do is we have a 6-animal model. Now I'm going to go through this very quickly, and then we're going to stop because it's time for you to go to other things. So we have a bear, which is the group leader. Now, most of the students who have pitched their game are most likely to have to be the bear in their group because they're the ones who hold the vision for their game. I have a wolf, which is the group manager, tells the bear to shut up when the bear's speaking too much, and asks everybody to participate. They bring everybody together. I have an owl, which is my process person. They make sure you've got deadline set, and that if you're in a meeting and you're trying to cover 5 item points, that you don't get through one and then stop because the meeting's run out, right? So the owl gets to say, no, we need to move on. We've still got 4 things to cover. We're only talking about the first thing, and they can override all the other animals and move the meeting forward. The puppy, I find, is useful to have an enthusiast who really likes to add things to ideas and will support any idea, right? It's a hard role to role play, but the idea is that you're role playing and being supportive so people aren't left on their own and it feels like everybody is against them, because the puppy will always be on their side of new ideas. The cat is the cynic. They identify things that would block the project and would make it fail. And the rabbit's the facilitator, who normally I will talk with and will get extra time, will get resources, goes in and communicates with the outside world, tries to build the resources the team needs. Okay, so you're going to have to choose to rank those roles of what you're willing to play. I will allocate the roles in the first allocation of the group. You don't have to stick to those roles. That's just the first default allocation. The reason I allocate all these communication roles is because it's important to get past that sort of feeling of, I'm not going to say anything, I'm not going to do anything, I'm going to wait for other people to take on the group leadership roles. And so no, everybody gets allocated part of the group leadership. And so everybody has responsibility from the start. Now, if you want to change roles, that's fine. You've just got to make sure that somebody is still filling that role. Okay, so that's why I'm creating these roles, because I want you to get to the norming and performing stage rather than the forming and storming, which are usually where groups break down. Okay, so I want to help you get better and faster at communicating by identifying the communication roles. The pitcher doesn't have to be the bear. Usually the pitcher is the bear, right? But you don't have to be. If you say you don't want to be, then we can look at having someone else do that leadership. Oh, everybody went exclamation mark for some reason. Okay. This is a Hex model. We can go into it. I'll actually go into it more next week as we start forming the teams. but there's lots of stuff. But so this week, what you'll be doing. So hopefully you've all been playing a wee bit with Godot, had some fun setting up Godot, getting the initial Godot sort of hello world stuff up and running to see what it looks like. I want you to be able to look at the pictures, come now and talk to people. I'll leave those rooms open, and people can go in the rooms and say when they'll be available to talk. Selecting the group role and selecting a game. And game genre, and then what we'll do is this week we'll start forming the teams. I would like everybody to have selected a role by Friday, so I'll need that form filled in by Friday, so that over the weekend we can form teams and get everybody together. If you start, if it's very clear the group you want to be with, then we can start forming those teams slightly earlier. If you want to send me stuff, if you want to submit by Wednesday, I can start having a look on Thursday my time, which will be Thursday afternoon my time, which is Thursday morning your time. So if you made a decision early, get that decision in, and we can start looking at forming teams. But I'll keep that open until Friday, and then I'll start forming teams. Okay, does all of that make sense? Are there any questions? Sorry, I just have to. I'll turn on my. So yes, sorry, question. Oh, I can't hear you yet because my headphones have not connected correctly. So just a sec. I had to take them off because they started to squeal because my noise cancelling is starting to cause a problem. Okay. There we go. Yep, I can hear you now. Yeah. No, I'll it's 10 p.m. here, but I'll do it tonight, and I'll forward it tonight. So I'll forward it in an announcement on Blackboard, and also put it in the chat in this room as well. Actually, I'll put it in the chat in general. Maybe I'll do an at everyone in general. Yeah, I'll do an at everyone at general with the form link. So you should see those rooms in the voice chats down below. Okay, so and on everybody break on 3. 1, 2, 3, break. Okay. No, anyway, so yeah, we'll jump into those rooms, and people can go and put in their room that they're wanting to, like, yeah, what time they have to chat in the chat of the game rooms. Okay, so if there's no other questions, I'll jump into my room as I start setting up this form. Cool. Okay. Those are some really interesting games. It looks like you guys are going to have some fun. I'm looking forward to giving feedback on them and seeing how they go. Great. Okay. You guys have a lovely day. Yeah. One more. Yep. So I will record. This recording will be posted on the unlisted YouTube, which I've got a link to. And now that I've got access to Blackboard, I'll put it up into Blackboard. And if people want to share their YouTube videos, so some of you made fabulous YouTube videos, then if you share the link in the chat of the voice channel associated with the game. So Sigils and sorcery, Maria, if you put the link in the chat of that room, that's where people can go and have a look at your presentation. Fabulous, thank you so much. Okay, looking good. Yep. Okay, we'll see you online. I'll be down in my room. Everybody break, chat to people, or go and say when you're available to chat. right? Because some of you have gone off to other classes and stuff. So, cool. Okay. We'll at least see you next week, and Napuna will see you on Thursday in person. And hopefully some of you will actually meet up in person and talk to each other then. Cool. Okay. Oh, Friday. Is it the 28th? It's Friday. Oh, sorry. It's the Friday. Okay. So that's an in-person session. Hopefully some of you can use that to meet up and talk about these games. Right? And then that can be the final decision making. If you want to wait until Friday to make your final decision, you can talk to people then. Cool. Okay. Have a great time, and yeah, send stuff by email if you want to email me. Cool. Okay. See ya.